Welcome to Down to Business Learning. I'm Allison, and here you'll find straightforward, no-fluff videos that break down complex IB business topics and make them easier to teach and learn. This week, I'll be doing an in-depth explanation about how to do decision trees, and there'll be practice at the end to make sure you can do it right. Let's get down to business. We need to understand what a decision tree is. A decision tree is a quantitative tool that helps businesses make good choices based off the probability of different outcomes occurring and how much those outcomes will produce in terms of revenue. Managers can look at decisions from where to set up a new shop, which machine to buy, or a new product to launch. This is just one of many tools that a business might use to help them make a decision. And the other tools that they use will be both quantitative, using numbers like break-even or investment appraisal, or they could be qualitative. What a decision tree is. Let's look at the information that would be given to you in exam. First, there's a short text about the decision being made. Here, we can see that that cafe is looking to expand and open an additional location. In this case, we have site A, B, and C. This isn't what is always going to be the decision, but in this case it is. In addition, you need to be given the cost. This might be given to you in the table, like it is here, or it might be written in the case study and you need to read the information to find out the cost for each option. Next up, you are given the probabilities. Here you can see you are given the probabilities for success and failure. In more complex questions, you might have success, moderate success, and failure. You're also given the likelihood of each of those probabilities of happening. For site A, the probability of success is 0.4 or 40%. If you notice, each option must add up to 1. In A, 0.4 for success plus 0.6 for failure equals 1. Finally, you are given the expected revenue for each option. For site A, if success occurs, the business will earn $60,000. For failure, they will get $20,000. As you can see, failure does not mean a negative number. It just means that it is not enough to be considered successful. The business might choose or set a level of what they think is successful or unsuccessful. In this case, all the information is given to you and you don't need to make that decision. Take a look at this. The first thing that you're going to want to do is draw a square node. This is called your decision node. In this box, you can write the decision that is being taken, for example, choosing a new location. But my box was pretty small, so I did not write anything in there. And you're going to draw lines off of this square for the 3 choices that you have. So in this case, we have site A, site B, and site C. Remember, I know I've said this before, but it's not always about choosing a location. It could be about entering a new market. It could be about buying different machines, or it could be a lot about launching different products. So remember, square node starting off first, and then you're going to put your options coming off of that one. It's drawn and labeled for our different decisions. Now we're going to put the cost of each option. We know that we get this either from the paragraph or from our chart. And in this case, it is written below the line. So site A is going to cost us $15,000, site B is $25,000, and site C is $20,000. There might also be a time when there's no cost for the option. So for example, if you have do nothing, you would write 0 because it doesn't cost anything. So here you can see we now have our costs on our decision tree. Next up, we are going to put in our probabilities, the outcome of each one happening. So first up, you need to draw a circle. As you can see here, I've numbered them 1, 2, and 3. And this is just to help make my calculations clear later on, which you'll see very soon. And the circle node is called an outcome node. You can see the key down here below, and I'll talk about that more in just a second. So success and failure lines need to come off from each of our options for site A, site B, and site C, or you can refer to them as 1, 2, and 3. Again, remember that in this case there's just success and failure, but there might be 3 options if you had a more complex case study. Next up, we are going to put the probability of each one under the wording. So in this case, you can see that for site A, we have success, and underneath we have 0.4. As I mentioned before, this means it's a 40% chance of being successful. We're going to do this for all of our options. And remember, it's really important that the decision tree is drawn neatly. If it's not drawn neatly, you can lose marks because the examiner can't read it. So get your ruler or your straight edge out and make sure that it is drawn neatly and cleanly. What we're going to put on our chart is the expected revenue. This is the amount of money the business expects to make if each option goes to plan. For example, in site A, if we have success, we expect to get $60,000. If the project fails, we expect $20,000. All of these numbers were found in your chart, so at this point, all we've done is draw it neatly and put all of the numbers from the chart into our decision tree. Here's where the math comes in. We need to take the numbers from our chart and calculate the overall expected monetary value, or the return, from the two different options. So you're going to take probability 1, which in our case is success, and you're going to multiply it by the expected revenue or return. Then we're going to add it to probability 2, which in our case is failure, and we're going to times it by the return or the expected revenue that we had. So if we're going to take a look at what we have here, so site A, or expected monetary value 1, this is where I put my numbers in the chart. And you can see 0.4, which was our probability of success, times 60, which was our expected revenue. Then we're going to add that together, times 0.6, which was our probability of failure, times 20, which was our expected revenue, and that gives us 36. You're going to do this for all of the options. So if you do it all here, you can see we got for site A, 36, site B, 24, and site C, 36. But we're not done yet. Don't forget to do the final step. We have one step left before this decision tree is done, and you might have guessed it, you are going to need to subtract the costs. So you can see that in site A we have 15, site B we have 25, and site C we have 20. So we look at it here, and the outcome is 21,000 when we subtract the cost from site A, negative 1,000 from site 2. You can see that because the parentheses are around it. I always recommend parentheses because we've made a lot of lines, we've done a lot of calculations, and a negative sign can get easily lost. So again, I recommend putting parentheses. And for site C, we have $16,000. And we have a couple of other things that we need to do here. We need to make sure that we show our rejected options. So you can see from the key down at the bottom that the rejected options are shown with a double parallel line, and that shows that those are options that we considered, but in the end were not the best. So the site A was the best option. There are no double lines there, and so site A is chosen. And I think it's a good habit if you also write a short sentence, just like you can see there in bold at the bottom, best option was site A. To do decision trees, hopefully it's broken down and you understand it. Now let's do a practice. We have a different cafe this time, and they were looking at two different options. One of them is a loyalty card, and another one is to cut prices. The chart looks a little bit different, but all the information is there. So what I want you to do is start drawing your decision tree, and the answers will come soon. If you haven't done so already, to pause, make your decision tree, work out your answer. The next slide will give you the correct answer. Here is the first part of the answer. This decision tree, they did the option of do nothing in case all of the outcomes were negative. So launch the loyalty card was rejected, do nothing was also rejected, and in the end, cut prices was chosen. This is what your decision tree should look like. On the next slide, I'm going to show you the calculations. And don't forget to do your key. You need the decision node, the outcome node, and the rejected option node. And here we have the working out. Remember, it is necessary to show your working to get full marks. So our first option was to cut prices. We times the probability, 80% or 0.08, times the expected revenue. We did the same thing with low sales, and our expected value or expected revenue was £740,000. Don't forget the last step of removing the costs, in this case 300,000, and we got £440,000. If we look at the loyalty card option and go through all the math there, it ends up being £400,000. So both options give positive net gains, but the larger of the two is the one that we choose, so that is the cut prices option. We rejected the do nothing, and the option that was chosen was cut prices. If this video helped make IB Business decision trees a little bit clearer, give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Let's keep making complex topics simple together.